What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. It's a little bit breezy right now, but not crazy breezy. Maybe like 4.2 mile per hour winds, breeze, not winds. And it looks like west to east. That's what it looks like. So I just got back, went and had some gelato chocolate. I have some stains on my shirt because the place my wife went into to buy the gelato didn't have the air conditioning working today. Something happened, wasn't working, and by the time she brought it out, it was dripping. So got a little bit on me, but nothing Tide can't handle. Anyway, we're gonna make some Greek coffee right now. Haven't opened it yet. Here it is. They even give you instructions in the back on how to make Greek coffee. I don't need any of that. So we have the Greek coffee. We have a hot plate right here. We have a special one of these. We have some spring water in here. We have some sugar, and we have a cup. So first things first. And we have a frog. Anyway, I'm gonna take this, put a little bit in here, and then put it in here. Oh, it's so nice out. You can't imagine. It's dry and it has a nice breeze. Really feels nice. It feels like 1964 all over again. So now we're gonna open this up. Haven't opened it yet. Let's see if you can open it up this way or you need a knife. It's a tough material. I cut it here and I could smell it instantly. Wow, that's delicious smelling coffee. Okay, right off the bat, I recommend this. Wow. That is, I hope they have a website. Oh, I see, I don't know, I see an email. Anyway, Hellenic Grocery, I guess is the name of this. So we're gonna put the sugar, 1 teaspoon sugar, 1 teaspoon coffee. That's it. The coffee can be heaping, right? I'll make it a heaping. Look at that heaping. Put it in there. Some of it fell. We supplement a little bit. But man, that smells good. If you see this brand, pick it up just for the smell alone. So then you gotta wrap it up, keep it fresh, get all the oxygen out of there so it doesn't oxidize. But you drink it fast enough, you don't have to worry. So we brush that off. Put the water over here. Give it a little stir. Crazy. All right, now we turn it on position. What are you doing with my daughter over here? I'm making, what do you think I'm making? Beef stew.
Yeah. Well, like, what type? What type are you making?
Greek coffee.
Why are you touching it? It's the last thing you do.
I want to see if the heat's coming.
We're just doing that instead of that.
I don't know if it's working. This might have died from lack of use. I don't use this. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be working. It's probably it's not that old. I've used it maybe twice. Let's try shutting it off. Well, I think it's broken. I don't feel any heat. Nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside my house and make it there, and then come back and talk about it. Yeah, that's weird. I'm thinking maybe the extension cord is not strong enough for this kind of a device. Well, we'll see. Hold on. I had to go inside. I had to use the regular stove. I don't know what happened to my hot plate. I've only used that, I don't know, maybe 2-3 times tops, but it's been years, so I don't know. I got to look into it. Anyway, I just made it inside, and just by the visual, I can tell that this is good coffee. Look at the top there, how it foamed up. I don't know if you could see that, but that's rich, and that means the coffee is very good. Without that, it's not that good. It's a little hot now, so I'm going to let it sit there. My grandfather, they take it off the fire, pour it, and then he'd drink it instantly. Boom. I'd say, why do you drink it that fast? Who's chasing you? I didn't see anybody chasing him, but yeah, he's in a hurry. Got to drink that coffee. It was hot right off of the flame. I don't know. You get to be that old, maybe nerve endings die around your face, so you can do that, but unnecessary. So anyway, that's what happened today. I went and got gelato, and I got chocolate, because I love chocolate. I love vanilla too, you know, but in the old days there was a place called Friendly's, and they had ice cream. They had sandwiches, you know, you could go in there and have a meal. But they had an ice cream, chocolate almond fudge. I couldn't get enough of that. So tasty. So let's see how hot this is. That's rich. Rich coffee. So whoever makes this Hellenic Grocery coffee, thumbs up. They don't give you information here, like it says produced and packed in Greece, in Athens, but they never tell you where the coffee was grown. That's what I'm interested in. Okay, fine. The guy that roasted it. That's, you know, you want to know where that was, but I want to know where they grew this stuff. Was it in Brazil? Was it in Africa? Was it in Asia? They don't tell you that. Yeah, it's a lot of flavor in there. So what was I gonna say here? Well, let's talk a little bit about Haagen-Dazs ice cream. It sounds German. It's supposed to be German, but I think it's American. They just have a name that sounds German. And I'll tell you what happened to me a few years ago. Until Mama's boy has to go home, I could hear him. I hear him. Go to your mom, tell him about your day. Okay, so, you know, I'd say, what was it? Almost 30 years ago. So 30 years ago, I was living in this, you know, a little room, had a television set. This is a different place in the previous video I mentioned, but I was at this place, and one thing I didn't like about this place is that they didn't have a bathroom. I mean, they didn't have a bathroom in the room. You had to go down the hall, and it was kind of like a bathroom that many people would use. One thing I'd say about this place, it was extremely clean. The people that owned it cleaned everything with probably Mr. Clean, and so everything was, you know, there was no odor, there was no water, you know, on the floor. It was super clean, just inconvenient. So I was in this place, there was nothing to do. You know, in the evening hours, you were there. It was kind of warm out, and one day I was flipping through the channels. I was flipping through the channels, and I came across something. There was nothing on, and I popped on something called MASH 4077. Now, when I was a kid, sometimes I'd be flipping through the channels when MASH was on originally, you know, in prime time, and I'd watch like 10 seconds of it. I never was into it. I would see Klinger, Jamie Farr, and, you know, a few other things, and it was only like 15-20 seconds, and then I'd flip to another channel. I wasn't into MASH back then. I didn't know anything about it. So anyway, I'm in this place, nothing's on television except for the MASH marathon. They had like I don't know what it was, 12 hours of, you know, endless MASH. So I said, all right, I'm gonna watch this. So I said, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down. There was a 7-Eleven around the corner, and I'm gonna go get some Haagen-Dazs, vanilla with the almonds inside. So I went and got that. I got a nice spoon, and I sat on the bed with the windows open. I started eating my Haagen-Dazs, one of those pint things. It's probably like 6 servings in there. I ate the whole thing, because to me, you know, one of those is 1 serving. So I put MASH on, and the more I watched, the more I got hooked. After an episode or 2, I became hooked on MASH. I couldn't get enough. I couldn't wait for the next one, next one. So eating my ice cream there, and then watching MASH, and to this day, I think MASH is one of the best shows ever made. Just, I loved everything about it, you know. And I actually went to the MASH on-site location where they filmed it. Shot some video there. Found that place the day after my oldest daughter started to walk. Started to walk the night before, and the next day I ended up taking her to the location where MASH was filmed, the outdoor scenes. Problem was, it had rained a day before, and the whole area that you have to go through was flooded. And here I am with the carriage going through the trail, and then all of a sudden you would see a 20-foot area that was flooded. So I'd have to go up and around the rocks and carry the carriage like that. And I did that all the way to MASH, and if anybody's been there, they know it's a long walk. So did that all the way to the MASH site. Halfway through, I'm carrying the carriage, and some guy on a mountain bike is coming through, you know, doing his little hopping around. He looks at me and he said, I thought I was crazy. and he kept going. So anyway, finally get there. Two old ladies were there, and they looked at my daughter, Isabella, and they said to me, "Did she just start to walk recently?" I go, "Yeah, like last night." And they were like, "Wow." So they moved on, and then I did my video there. It's on my website, the video from the MASH site. But anyway, that's what happened. I started doing Haagen-Dazs and watching MASH. Very enjoyable. And Haagen-Dazs is awesome ice cream. One of the best. You know, I mean, everything in it tastes good. So then, after I've watched all the, not all of them, but all the ones that were showing in the marathon, all the episodes, I was all bummed out. I'm like, now what am I going to watch? Well, they announced the next marathon, Partridge Family. Now, I knew a little bit about it because I watched a few episodes when I was younger. But I never, you know, was into it that much. But then I started watching the marathon, and I got pulled into that one too. And I went and got another Haagen-Dazs. And finished that. But, you know, you don't know what you're going to like until you sit there and watch. And then when I was young, 1985, my father had bought a pretty new station wagon. It was in good shape. And he said, you know, it was February. He said, "Why don't we go down to Washington, D.C., check it out?" So we got on the station wagon and we went all the way to D.C. 1984. Went down to D.C. and the song "An Innocent Man" by Billy Joel, the single, "An Innocent Man," came on, and I hadn't heard it before. It was new to me, and I go, "Wow, it's a cool tune. Rich lyrics, you know, good stuff." Listening to that, then we went down there, and that, I love that car because it had a CB in it. So, you know, but anyway, the reason I mention it is because when we went down there, we went to the Smithsonian, and all the stuff from MASH was in the Smithsonian. And not only that, they had t-shirts and sweatshirts, and I bought a sweatshirt and a t-shirt of the MASH you know, logo, 4077, and I wore the crap out of those. I had no idea what the show was about. I knew it was about a Korean War, but I didn't know the details of the characters or any of that. So I wore that, and there's many pictures of me from the mid-80s wearing MASH outfits, even though I had no idea of what the show was about. So, yeah. So that's that. I recommend that coffee if you ever are in a store that sells it. Pick it up. Can't drink the bottom because it's all the residue from the coffee that sits at the bottom. I'll have a little bit more. Very good. So tonight is spaghetti night. Anyway, got the ingredients inside. Oh, it's so nice. Right now a breeze is coming. I can see the leaves on that tree moving, and it's, yeah, I feel it right now. Awesome. You know, like summer days like this where the humidity is low, you enjoy summer so much more. What I don't like is sitting out here and feeling like I'm being, you know, bombed with humidity. I'm not a fan of humidity. Okay, that kind of bass I can't stand. You hear that? Somebody has a woofer, and it's just overwhelming bass. I love bass. Bass is, like, for me in a song, has to be up high, but it has to be crisp bass, not just. I could play that. Give me a bass, start playing your song, and I'll be. I could do that. Yeah, I love bass. I love raising up the bass on my mixer and then listening to the bass line. And now with the software people have, you can isolate every instrument and just listen to it alone. So, I could hear people heading home right now. It's people, driving back to where they came from in the morning. Yeah, I missed that chocolate almond fudge ice cream from Friendly's. I don't even know if Friendly's is still around. I had a neighbor who would take me to Friendly's once in a while. He did not understand. He was an older guy, born in 1910, so he was, old when I knew him. But he didn't understand the concept of my generation listening to music loud. He thought it was like his generation. If somebody from his generation apparently had the music a little bit too loud, that meant that they were suffering from depression, or they were having the blues, as he would call it. So once in a while, my parents would not be home when I was younger, teenager, and I'd go into the living room, or dining room actually. My mother and father had this 1966 turntable, but it was one of those long ones like furniture where you would push the top, it would open up. You had the albums on this side, you had the turntable here, you had a nice radio, and you had two big speakers. Well, in my house, nobody could touch that. My mother had ornaments, I don't know, she had things on top, and if you moved them, she had memorized her pattern, her way of doing things, and she would notice that something was off. She would go, "Did somebody go in there and touch that?" But I would touch it anyway because I was into, all kinds of music, and I had to hear my music on a good system. I had a system in my room, but it wasn't that great. So when they would go somewhere, I would remove all the stuff off the top, open it up, and put some music in there. I don't know, Donnie and Marie. So I'd have the windows open, music would be going, and you could hear it outside. And then I'd get a call. Phone would ring, I'd go hello, and I'd hear that neighbor I'm talking about, and he would be, "Hey," he would say, "Nicky boy, you want to go and get a bite to eat?" And I go, "Not really, but if you want," So I'd say, "Okay, we'll go." So we'd go, and then he thought I was like bummed out, and I had the music going. I told him one time, because I started getting wind of what he was thinking. I said to him, "My generation, not your generation, it's like 100 years before me, but my generation listens to music a little bit louder than you guys did back then. You guys were corny, the F word to you was like crazy, and we're not like that." So I listen to my music a little loud. All my friends, you go driving somewhere, you had the music going, but he associated playing the music louder than 3 as being bummed out. And but I explained to him that's not the case. That's just the way we listen to music. So he would take me out to different places, not always for the music. A lot of times it was just like, hey, he was feeling alone, and he wanted to go somewhere and have a bite, and I'd go with him. But in situations where the music was loud, he thought that I was having a bad day, which I wasn't. I was enjoying my music. Yeah. There are certain generations that if they go way before yours, they don't get you. They just, from another world. So, I'd listen to my stuff, and he thought he must be depressed up there listening to the music like that. And it wasn't that loud. I had it on a 7 maybe. It wasn't like I had it 10 plus. But you know how it sounds when outside, you can hear it through the windows. So he would take me to Friendly's, and or there was other places too, but Friendly's was one that he would like to go to, and they made good club sandwiches there, but he loved to have Coca-Cola. And I remember one time had the music going, and I had just eaten a good sized meal upstairs, and he calls me up. He's like, "Hey, Nicky boy, you want to go and get a bite?" I would always say yes. So, but I wasn't hungry, so I went with him, and I ordered, I think it was a burger and a Coke, and I force-fed myself that day. I was not hungry at all. So anyway, that's the way he was. He did not understand that, everybody I knew, when they would get in the car, they'd put the radio on, and it was, a decent volume. But when he would get on the radio, he had it, like -1, very low, My father was like that too. My father, I'll give you an example that he wasn't like that on, but my father in general, you get in the car and I would say, put the radio on. Put the radio on, it would be like at number 1, the volume. And I would say, put it up louder. He's like, ah, my ears. You know, he would say, ah, it's too much. And then sometimes when it would be up like at a 3, and like maybe the Scorpions would come on or something, my father would lower it. Too much for him. So the only song that my father would turn it up was Moving Out by Billy Joel. My father loved that song. That song would come on, my father would crank it up. And he would say to me, first time he goes, I heard a song where they say ack in it. But that's the only song. Anything else, and my mother, forget it. My mother would go at like a 1. You know, my mother had it at a 1. You know, me, I was like a number 7, and if it was really good, it would go up even higher. You know, I mean, what? Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen, I'd put that at like a number 15. I'd jack it up. If I had 15, I'd put it up. Love that song. Dexy's Midnight Runners, and I think Dexy was like a drug or something. The Midnight Runner would get the drug, but now they're not called Midnight Runners. It's just Dexy's. But I love that song. I had a girl in my class, 8th grade, Eileen, and it reminded me of, you know, when I would hear that, she'd be around. And so even now when I hear that song, I think of her, not in a, you know, like I have a crush on Eileen, but, you know, I mean, maybe back then I did. Maybe back then I did, you know, Eileen. She was the smartest girl in the class, and when I say girl, she was the smartest person in the class in terms of grades. You know, I remember these people, you know, that are really good at school and they get like conduct, they get A's on that. If you speak to them like, you know, in a manner that, you know, you tell them, you're not paying attention or something, they turn all red because they're not used to being criticized. So one day I remember in my school, teacher said, you know, she wasn't paying attention. I think she was like looking in my direction, talking to me, and I was talking to her, and the teacher said, you know, Eileen, and she turned around and she turned red because the teacher raised her voice at her. And so anyway, but when I hear that song by Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen, I think of her. And I love that song, big fan of that song. Then there was another girl in my class, Joni. I think I had a crush on, well, I know I had a crush on her, Joni. She had the look. And she was, if not, you know, like maybe she wasn't like Eileen in grades, but she was a close second or a close third, because I can think of another girl too that was, you know, doing the grades. But yeah, that song, I ended up getting the remastered, remixed version, and that's even better. The way they did that one. Yeah, there was a lot of good songs back in the 80s. A lot of good bands. Van Halen, 1984. When that album came out, I remember where I was. There was this weird kid that I was walking next to, and he had it on his radio, carrying it like this, walking, and Van Halen, 1984 was playing. You know, Jump. But that was a huge album. Music, you know, is not, you know, from my point of view, it's not what it once was. There's some good tunes, but now they concentrate on the beat rather than the melody. You know, the singing, the melody, the thing that would inspire you. Now it's more like the beat, the bass. So it's changed. Let's see what's going on here. Not much. So what else? What else is going on? Yeah, it's a nice, every once in a while I see a dragonfly fly by. I don't know where they're going. Let's see, the time now is 6:17 in the PM. There was a time, I'd probably have to sit here for the next 15 minutes to see if it's true now, but there was a time, at 6:30. This was in the winter, fall, winter. But at 6:30, a couple hundred crows would fly over the house, over my neighborhood. Wah, 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 flying over every day. 6:30, you'd look up and here come the crows. And I never realized how intelligent the crows are. But I read this whole thing about them, and they have a good memory. They're very smart. They know how to use weapons. So, at 6:17, they should be planning their departure any second now from wherever they're coming from. Yeah, birds are fascinating. I went hiking one time at the Devil's Punch Bowl. I mean, I've hiked there many times, but this specific time I went hiking. When I came back, I saw an owl staring at me on one of the tree branches. Had the eyes going, looked like X the Owl from Neighborhood of Make Believe. Anyway, that's it for now. That's it. I'm gonna go wash this stuff and see what's going on inside with the rest of them and the rest.